Yes, you want the prices to be competitive, but you have to offer more than just the price to get a customer to keep coming back.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So what made you, Jared? Yeah, because you do have experience in the industry already, like working in your so 13, 15 years. So you have that idea, and then you said, "I'm gonna launch this product." So what happened? Why you decide that you have to be flexible? That actually your first idea somehow the customer was different feedback, and it's time for you to drop your ego and to drop that this is the perfect product and start to adjust to.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is it depends on your life. Like for me, I know I told you like my parents had a business, but they were going through a really tough time at that point in my life when I had quit.
Wow.
And I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have parents that were going to come save me financially. And so for me, it was all about succeeding. And I was not going to let the idea drown
Really
out the
powerful.
fact that I needed to survive. Like I needed to care about myself because nobody was going to rescue me. And I came out of a tech accelerator. So the people that had basically what had happened was I knew I didn't want to be in my family's business anymore. And so I went on LinkedIn, pitched an idea to a stranger. And a week later, that stranger decided to make me an offer and become an investor. And so I quit. While I quit, through that like year time, my family had started through some tough times. And I knew that I would not have a backup plan at that moment. And I had to just survive. And while you're in that ecosystem of other startups, because you and I had talked about this before, right? 90% of startups fail in the first like 2 years. I had seen all these startups floundering.
In tech
over
is
their
even
idea.
worse, I think.
Yeah.
In your
And
space, tech.
Yeah. And so what had happened was they were in love with the idea. Now, over the years, over the last 7, 8 years, I have seen countless startups fail for the same 2 reasons. One, they refuse to pivot in time. And the second one is a disagreement among founders. Those are usually the 2. But overwhelmingly, it's the lack of pivoting at the right time.
I agree with you 100%.
So what I decided to do was I said, I'm going to throw stuff at a wall. And if something doesn't work in 30 days, 60 days, I'm just going to keep moving until something sticks. Yeah. And
what
I just
moved
lightning
we
fast.
have to keep going to find out what they really want.
Exactly. And you
Who's
can't think to yourself.
Who's your client and what they really want? You have to become 100%. Obsessed with that.
Yeah. And you're on. And just because you're getting sales in something, that doesn't mean you should keep it. It's not just about getting the sales. It's can you get the sales in an efficient, cost-effective manner? Because you could take millions of dollars, throw it at a wall, and get someone to buy it. But you got to make sure it makes financial sense. So I would say that is how I kind of knew. Like I was getting sales, but it wasn't at a easy pace. I was like pulling teeth to get $10,000 a month in sales, and I was going down with the ship. And I just said, no, that's not happening here. And I just kept pivoting until something worked because I needed to eat. I needed to survive and I had to make it work.
Well, now tires. My dad actually changed the tire of the car recently, and I learned a lot out of this. I'm based in London. I live in London. I don't drive there. It's different than US somehow that no everybody needs a car here in United States. Everyone needs a car. My dad he lives in United States, and he had to change the tires, and I did learn a lot about tires that I didn't know. My dad told me, Harry, do you know that a tire, I don't know if he told me about 8 years life or whatever, but he told me that you need to buy it recently because otherwise they get bad. And he showed me how to read the year of the tire because it's actually printed in that tire. I have no idea. And if I had to buy tires in my life, I will never would even check this because I don't have any clue what I'm doing. I decide for another one. But my dad told me all this information. So what it means is do need a form of expertise, to go to the expert in the market, regardless that you can maybe buy in other places, but when you buy from the authority, when you buy from the expert in the market, you have that quality that is back up by this. Tires are very important, so important that if you have an accident with the tire, to the speed that people drive in United States, could be very little, could be little, right?
Well, tires have a
That's so
science.
important.
Yeah, tires have a science. People don't realize. So every tire has its own features, its own purpose. There are so many different reasons. I go on a lot of, I get interviewed a lot, right? And so people always ask me, what's your favorite tire? And it's like, no, dude, it's not what's my favorite
It
tire.
doesn't work.
It's how am I using the vehicle? Like if I'm going for very long mileage, right? Then I want something quiet, I want something high mileage, and I want something comfortable. If I'm driving in a really bad area, then I want something that's going to grip the road in the wet weather and in the slush. If I'm driving a performance car, then I want something that's going to handle the road like a performance vehicle. So
And if you drive it in Florida, which the roads get really hot.
Yes. Yeah. And so then you to the performance
they can
side,
get
right?
hot. They can get overheat. And
yeah. You need, every industry that is boring has its own science, right? And so the tire industry is very fascinating to me, but very boring to consumers. And so it's my job. It's my job to
educate them, and to see, because it's boring. Now, as a business model for online, the thing that I like is that it's like cut the eventually. You will have repeating clients, because every my dad told me, I don't know how many every year, how many 3 5 years, something like that, people need to change them, depend how much they
Sure.
But again, my dad told me again that the lifespan of the tire is 5 years, 6, something like this, I don't remember. So either if you move or not, after a certain period of time you have to change them anyway, because they get damaged. I didn't know that tire expired.
Well, yeah, it depends. It depends on a lot of factors. I mean, it depends on what you're using the vehicle for. It depends on how often you're using it, what kind of roads you're on, what you hit while you're on the road, right? There's so many different things. I mean, some people change them every year or two. Some people change them every 5 years. Some people every 3 years. It's all over the place, depending on the customer. But you're right.
My dad doesn't drive too much, honestly. He's old, so he can for supermarket things like this. But anyway, here's the thing: a tech business, retail online tech, in an industry that is already other people in the marketplace offering the product online, is really competitive and very expensive. The customer acquisition process direct to consumer. You're talking about, do you really knew in what you were getting into when you start to realize, because of the consumer online direct is so that and then I that the tires are heavy, so your cost of delivery is also not cheap, right?
Well,
so
if I knew,
how you mitigate all this, because it become a huge challenge to sell direct to consumer with the big boy, because there are big boys out there offering kind of the same. So you have to be niche and be the expert, yourself as the expert in the marketplace, right?
Well, I think you're right on one thing. If I knew it was this challenging, I don't know if I would have started.
Oh my God!
but I will say,
once you are in, you have to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I don't think, okay, so my view is very different than a lot of people's philosophy. If there are a lot of people doing it, then that means there's market demand.
There's a market for it, absolutely. I'm with you 100%.
Yes,
100%.
I am not in the trying to create demand. If the demand is there, that's where I want to go.
Share the market.
Exactly. The other thing is, I didn't want to sell on eBay, Amazon, Walmart, any of the marketplaces. And the reason why I didn't want to do it is because I wanted the ability to have a personal connection with the customer. I wanted the ability to retarget them. I wanted the ability to communicate with them. And if I had sold on the marketplaces, I feel like Yeah, I feel like on the marketplaces, you lose that relationship, right? There are other benefits, which is probably a cheaper acquisition cost or whatever it may be, and you get ready to the audience. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to create my own audience, and I wanted to educate the customer on my experience. When you sell in the marketplaces, it's their experience, right?
Absolutely.
And
what type
the
of
other,
experience you want your clients to
yes,
have,
exactly.
and what and how much are you going to look after them in order to get this kind of, we're not gonna premium service, but we like, for example, we like where if that is important from you,
Yeah,
you will go to the authority.
exactly.
If tires are something that, well,
We
you will buy anywhere else. So tell us around the tires. But maybe people don't know.
well, and tires are incredibly important, and you can look at a variety of reasons. You could look at, is it going to last long? Is it going to keep me safe on the road in the snow or the rain? Is it going to perform really well around turns or acceleration? Is it going to preserve my gas mileage? Can it hold the vehicle for the new electric vehicles that are out there? You got to get the right tire
They're
that can handle
heavy.
the weight.
They're
Heavy.
heavy, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch you got to look at and talk to an expert. On Tire Agent, we educate the customer. We try to dumb it down so it's really easily digestible, because they are, there's a lot of information, and we're
Absolutely.
always perfecting the
And it's very
experience.
technical also.
Very, very technical. But what I had from running an e-commerce site is you want the prices to be competitive, but you have to offer more than just the price to get a customer to keep coming back.
Absolutely.
And that kind of goes
Value.
back to being obsessed with the customer experience and the service, right? And so people remember one of two things: a really bad experience or a really good experience. They don't remember a so-so experience.
Mhm.
And so we really try to go above and beyond for our customers. And that has proven to be our secret sauce in keeping the customer coming back over time.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.